What's up, everybody? We are back. It's week 2 of the NFL season. We've got the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Ty's favorite team here, the Eagles. But first, let's talk about week 1. I feel like week 1 was a little bit wacky. There was a lot of really good quarterbacks that did not perform very well. Jalen Hurts could be considered on that list a little bit. You know, he was below expectations for that first game. But the Patriots, they're a really good defense. You know, Belichick's going to put a good foot forward. Ty, how did you feel about your Eagles' performance last week?
I thought that, they got out to a good start. I think that, you can blame a little bit on the weather. You can blame, on what seemed to be rather conservative play calling. The Patriots put us inside of our own 20 a lot, and I feel like we had a tough time getting over midfield. And then we also let them get back into it. We weren't airing it out as much as we all expected. There was huge expectations for the entire team coming in. I mean, how could you not? They just played at Super Bowl last year. You expect them to set the world on fire week 1 with all the draft picks they picked up, all the trades they made in the offseason. They're set to have an all-star killer defense from top to bottom. You know what I mean? You expect, 40-0. You expect the Eagles to do what the
Well, it looked like it was going to be that for a while. Yeah. It looked like it was going to be that at first.
Yes.
I had the Ravens money line and the Eagles money line parlay, and that looked like we were home free very early by 4:35, 4:40 Eastern. It felt like that was home free, no sweat bet. But by the end of that, your Eagles had me sweating. But let's talk about the Vikings, because the Vikings fans, they were sweating as well.
They were sweating.
Obviously, that was not a game that they were supposed to lose. It's not a game that a lot of people had on their board for them dropping that. I don't think they were on upset alert playing against the Bucs. But Baker Mayfield sneakily has had some very good starts with teams. His first games, you know what I mean? He comes in and he's electric. They said that at halftime, Baker knew the commands that the defense was using, all their signals. So he came into halftime, and I guess, and in the second half, his numbers looked a lot better. They actually ended up getting that win. But I think there's a lot of overreaction here. So we got the Minnesota Vikings plus 6.5 at the Philadelphia Eagles. The over-under set at 49. That over and under, I would lean to the under on that. You got to remember, these teams matched up week 2 last year in prime time. I believe it was the Monday night game that year. And what was the score? 24-7, 21-7, something like that. The Vikings really couldn't get anything going. The Eagles, that was like the beginning of them showing how dominant that they were going to end up being that year, and what we expect them to be this year as well. So I think that under is probably a good bet, but there's a lot of firepower here. So I'm not too sold on it. I'm not making an official bet because I could see this thing becoming, a 30-25 game. I could see it, getting up into those ranges for each team scoring those points. But one reason that the Vikings lost, in my opinion, is Kirk Cousins. He just folded. You know what I mean? What did he have? 3 fumbles and a pick or something like that? So he's not going to make those same mistakes. I think a lot of people are looking at it like the Eagles are supposed to be this dominant team. They did it to the Vikings last year in a very similar spot. And the Vikings coming off a loss to the Bucs, 6.5, now that it's under a touchdown, kind of looks friendly to Eagles bettors. But I'm going to go on the other side of that. I came on the show ready to take Vikings plus 7, but it just moved as we were about to go live here. So I think I might still buy that plus 7. So I'll get the odds on that before we get out of here. But it has moved down to plus 6.5 now, way more attractive for Eagles bettors. But I think that Kirk Cousins, even though we talk about him in prime time, I know you're ready. I know you're waiting to talk about him in prime time. Kirk Cousins' prime time story. We'll see if the saga continues, but I don't think he's going to have 3 fumbles and a pick. I don't think it's going to be 4 turnovers coming off his back in that game. I just don't see that happening again. That was like a fluke. Every team in the league had that problem. The Jags had a bunch of fumbles. There were so many fumbles during those games. So we'll see. I don't think it's going to be like that again in week 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just shocked because usually when Kirk Cousins can hide in the octo box on the 1 p.m. games on Red Zone, usually that's when he dominates, man. Like you said, Baker Mayfield came out ready. He is that chip on the shoulder kind of dude. This is the 3rd team that he's opened the year up for in the last 3 years. He went Browns, Panthers. Now it's opening up with the Bucs week 1.
Well, he had that game with the Rams too. His first game with the Rams last year. He came out and won on I believe it was Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, exactly. So Baker Mayfield is a catch fire early kind of guy. And I mean, there's also, when you think about it, there also were expectations on the Vikings. Like, they were the team out of the NFC North last year. They were arguably a potential to, especially early on and even later in the season, to potentially maybe play in the playoffs, to fight for a spot, to contend with the Eagles and the Niners and so on. And, it just didn't go their way, but it doesn't mean that they start looking prime for another run this year. I mean, they get Jordan Addison, rookie, Jay Jettis is still there, and they got TJ Hawkinson. And I mean, talking about Kirk Cousins in prime time, he just so happens to be 7-10 straight up in the primetime games since he joined the Minnesota Vikings in 2018, 8-9 against the spread. On the reverse side of that, the Eagles at home on Thursday nights are 6-3 against the spread. So something to look out for. I do think
I hear you, but this is a big number though.
Yeah, it is. Like that was what I'm gonna get into. It definitely is a big number. I think that there's a chance that people could keep jumping on this number to move it even more so, make it a more narrow spread, and that's when I would put my money on the Eagles if you choose to do so. But if it stays at the 6.5, even goes back to 7, anything like that, even 6, I would, either take the Vikings or stay away. Personally,
yeah, I'm going to ride the Vikings out on this one. I don't see the Eagles covering that spread. They looked a little shaky. I think it might take some time to get that together. And on the flip side, the Vikings offense, they got some firepower, man.
Exactly.
As you mentioned, Jordan Addison performed very well. Hawkinson's there, big target. And then Justin Jefferson, we know what he's capable of. He's, well on the path of being one of the best receivers of all time if he continues the way he's been playing through his career so far. So, I'm with you on that. You want to get into some player props here? So one that I really like is Dallas Goedert over 4.5 catches. You can get it for plus 125 if you have points bet. The other best numbers I'm seeing is plus 125 on Bet365, plus 114 on DraftKings. So if you can get plus money for that, I don't believe he had a catch last week. I'm going to double check that real quick. But
he went 0-0.
Yeah, he put up a donut last week. I don't think the Eagles coaching staff and Jalen Hurts can let that happen again. You got to get him involved before you lose him. You know what I mean? I mean, you see what's going on with Kyle Pitts in Atlanta, where they're just not getting him the ball, and you know how talented he is. That's never been the Eagles' style, man. Dallas Goedert had a hell of a year last year. They're going to get right back into feeding him, getting him touches early, and I think that's one of the best plays on the board right here, just because they're going to force feed him to correct for the mistake of last week.
Yeah, I think my best play, we're talking about tight end play. I think if we're talking about straight, just singular prop bets, my favorite prop bet of the night is TJ Hawkinson over 4.5 catches. I know it's a Vikings player, but the reason I say that is the Eagles just gave up 5 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown to Hunter Henry last week. And TJ Hawkinson is far and away more talented than Hunter Henry, no offense. And it's the Eagles that are a young defense. Like they have some, obviously, Darius Slay, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, but they injected a lot of new talent. A massive Georgia fan. You have Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith, all those guys that are, a young defensive front that pass rush is going to be lethal and was providing pressure over the weekend. I think it's only going to go up from there. But Hawkinson against NFC North teams, just going back, 13 catches on 16 targets, 5 on 9, 9 on 9, 4 on 5, 4 on 7, 10 on 11. It goes on. I think that Hawkinson, especially given that the attention that Justin Jefferson draws, is always a good target.
Yeah, right? Especially with that Eagles pass rush, the Eagles front seven, like you mentioned, tight ends being a little safety blanket. We saw what Hunter Henry was able to do for Mac Jones. He got him out of a lot of pressure and troubling situations by just being that soft blanket target there. Hawkinson can definitely fill that role, and he's even a much bigger target than Hunter Henry is. No, I definitely can agree with that. I think both tight ends probably are having a good game. It sounds like we're saying. I wouldn't be surprised if both of them get in the end zone as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
let's get into your same game parlay.
Yes.
Were you going to say something else about that, or?
Yeah, just as far as touchdowns. But the thing is, last week they were very much saying it's either going to be Jalen or AJ to find the end zone. Neither one of them did that. So keep on watch for Jalen to walk one in or AJ take the top off, especially at home in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I could see them trying to maybe force one to AJ Brown to get him involved. That's the same reason that I said Goddard, though. They just got to get their guys involved, man. Get the
Yeah.
guys that expect to be scoring touchdowns this year and expect to be a big part of the offense. You got to get them going early on before it's too late.
Yeah. So here's my same game parlay for everybody. FanDuel is offering a, the no sweat Thursday same game parlay. So here's what I like. I like Devontae Smith over 5.5. His number was at 4.5 last week. I don't think that 5.5 is out of the question. This is also plus money straight up. I think it's like plus 125 in that range for Devontae. He averaged around 5.5 catches a game last year, and he did have seven receptions against the Vikings last season on Monday Night Football. So like I said, he's the volume guy. AJ is the stronger, taller, more muscular Deshaun Jackson type. You know what I mean? He's going to take the top off. He may only have 2 or 3 catches, but it's going to be for 80 yards and a tutty. You know what I mean? Devontae is the volume receiver in the slant, in the flat, things of that nature. Like we talked about before, TJ Hawkinson, I really like that bet straight up and in this parlay over 4.5. Jalen is always the running target. I think that Kenneth Gainwell, as well as they were riding him against the Patriots, might not be playing. So they're going to have to
it doesn't look likely that he's going to play. So, yeah.
Other rushing options, which obviously, Jalen's just going to take that ball and go take it to himself. And Jordan Addison, 60 receiving yards in his first game as a Viking. I think that 39.5 is very attainable if they spread the ball around. That's like 2 or 3 catches, for Jordan Addison, that you're not asking for much from him. And if you want to spice that parlay up even more, you can add in an AJ Brown touchdown to just draw it even more. But if, for the sake of this show, I'm not trying to give out ridiculously late parlays. So I think four solid bets and a parlay, no sweat bet Thursday is my play for everybody this week.
Sounds good. Yeah, you can get plus 1171 on that one. I'm going to put one out for this promo also. It's a no sweat, so you might as well put one out. But I'll put that out tomorrow on the Twitter at moo_sports. So make sure you hit that follow button on there. It's in the link description. The link is in the description is what I meant to say. So I was going to say hit that link, but I got all jumbled up. But no, I do like all those picks. And to your point, I mean, maybe DeAndre Swift gets involved because they're going to have to look to other runners.
Yeah, he had a case of the drop.
For the sake of your parlay, I hope he doesn't get any touches again and Jalen Hurts just runs it 12 times and hits 55, 60 yards rushing. But other than that, I mean, I'm looking to see DeAndre Swift. It's like the perfect moment. Kenneth Gainwell goes down. You get him involved because he wasn't involved at all. He had to get 2 touches. And what was that? 2 touches for
a drop catch.
Yeah, all right. So he had 2 touches for 3 yards, and he had 1 drop. So he should have had 3 touches.
Yeah.
But they got to get him involved too. They got to get all their guys involved. That's why I think they're going to force feed Dallas Goedert, especially because he had no catches, no touches. So you got to get him the rock. Devontae Smith, he had 7 catches last week, and you are right. It is plus money. You're getting over 5.5 at plus 110 on just about every book. So, I think those are all good bets as straights if you want to parlay them for the plus 1171. There that is. Once again, just so you guys could see. Plus 1171, not bad odds. You're not asking for a whole lot. You just need a couple things to go right. You know what I mean? That's like every parlay, though.
That's how it works. That's how we do it.
So my official pick is going to be the Vikings plus 7. I'm going to buy that point back just to make sure I don't get hooked on a 24-17 game type of thing, which I definitely could see. I'm just going to get you guys that exact odds number real quick. I'm going to tease it on FanDuel here and see what we got. Alternate spread. Oh, yeah. So it gets, plus 7.5 would be minus 162. I'm going to shop around, try to find like a plus 7 for a little bit better odds.
Yeah.
I'd rather get hooked on the 7 than hooked on the 6.5, though.
True.
Is how I'm looking at it. So 7.5, if you don't have another option, it's not a bad bet. You're looking at minus 162. You just need the Vikings to keep it close, keep it a 1-possession game. And I think they're definitely capable of that. I don't see them having all of the self-inflicted wounds that they had last week against the Bucs. There was a lot of week 1, shakiness, rustiness from every team across the board, it looked like. So I'm definitely expecting a better game, but I do like that under and Vikings plus 6.5, I guess. I could see them losing by 7, though. I have a feeling it's going to just end up right there at that number. Yeah. And, so we'll see. I was thinking about getting it when it opened at 7.5. I just hesitated, so I didn't get it yet. It's not on my account. I was hoping we could get this show in while it was still +7. It would have made things much easier, but it's +6.5 now. Take it or leave it. I'm not too sure. I'm going to buy that at that point for sure. So,
yeah, man.
Any closing words, Don?
No, so me personally, like I said, like I told everybody, like it went with the Vikings are at that number, and you like it, take it. But if the number starts to shrink, I would look at the Eagles given their home record on Thursday Night Football, especially this early in the season. Anything can happen. Like I said, they played the Vikings about this early last year. On Monday Night Football, it's in the link. Night game. At the end of the day, you can't doubt that. I guess I'm not going to pick official side on the spread. I do like the underplay as well. I would lean that way too. I don't think it's going to be massively high scoring given the talented Eagles defense.
Yeah, I'm with you. If I can't find a good number on this +7, I might just make the under my official play. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. Me and Big Mike Rader will be back this weekend to cover more games as well. And make sure you're heading over to menoforder.com where we hit you with the hard hitting stuff. We have some fun with the sports here, make some money, and then we got the rest over at menoforder.com. Peace.
Later.
In a world lacking in masculinity, there's menoforder.com. We write about the most important things not being discussed from a strong male perspective. You can find articles on money, dating, mindset, culture, crypto, and more, written by men and for men. If you're tired of the beta male perspective and want to masculinize your thinking, go to menoforder.com and check out some of our articles.